Well, hello and welcome to one of our Gold Derby Awards debates in the third presidential debate between Donald Trump and Secretary of State Hillary Clinton. This was said. Wait.
There was even a time when he didn't get an Emmy for his TV program 3 years in a row, and he started tweeting that the Emmys were rigged.
Should have got that.
This is a mindset. This is how.
Okay, Donald Trump claiming the Emmys were rigged and he should have won the Emmys for 2004, 2005 when he was nominated for The Apprentice. We, as Gold Derby, are the leading Emmy experts, prognosticators, students of the Emmys. So what perfect place to debate. Was Donald Trump right? Were the Emmys rigged? We have Amanda Spears and Tony Rhodes today arguing on the side of the Emmys not being rigged. We've got Charles arguing for the side that the Emmys, Charles Bright arguing for the side that the Emmys were rigged and the Emmys are rigged. And we're going to have 2-minute opening statements followed by 1-minute responses going back and forth between both sides. By the virtue of a coin toss, Amanda and Tony, you get to start. So I'm just going to start off by asking you the question, is Donald Trump right? Were the Emmys rigged?
I'll turn it to Amanda, but I'll just say, is Donald Trump ever right about anything?
Wrong.
Well, first of all, he was only nominated, The Apprentice was only nominated twice. So, but we're talking about a reality show that was nominated in 2004 and nominated in 2005 and then was nominated for cinematography in 2006 and then completely fell off the map, basically. It was nominated, the only other award it was ever nominated for was in 2009 for editing for a reality programming, up against a show that has won 10 times, almost completely consecutively. So I don't think you can claim they were rigged, especially when you look at the nominees the first time. You have Survivor, you had American Idol, you had The Apprentice, you had Amazing Race. I think it probably would have been in fourth place. There's something very technical about the way The Amazing Race is produced. And you have to remember at that point, they were in a ranked system where they were ranking these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which is probably how The Amazing Race was able to win so many times, but I don't think in a plurality vote it would have won. So no, they're not rigged. If they were rigged, we'd see a lot more wins for HBO.
And to top it off, I mean, look at the subject matter. The Amazing Race was about, mostly ordinary people, oftentimes, and there were higher stakes. People running and going to foreign countries and, having to deal with cultural problems. Whereas on The Apprentice, what did you have? A bunch of, spoiled people with MBAs trying to get Daddy Donald to give them the keys to their first car.
Such a nasty woman you are, Tony.
Okay. I'd like to ask you not to interrupt the other candidates or the other arguers, and that is your time. So now we'll move to you, Charles. Why are the Emmys rigged?
I have several words for you, and these are the best words I can tell you. Most of them are names, but these are the best ones. Angela Lansbury. Everybody loves Angela Lansbury. She is a queen. How many Emmys does she have? 0. There must be a coordinated plot by the international television elites to make sure that certain people aren't ever recognized. Maybe they'll just dangle it in front of them like a carrot in front of a rabbit and hope that they'll always hope that they get it, but they never do. And we keep on watching, hoping that they will. Look at Hugh Laurie. Everyone loves Hugh Laurie. He's never won. Bob Newhart finally won, but God, it took him 50 damn years to win. I mean, honestly, look at some of the people that have won. Merritt Weaver. I'm not even sure that those are actual names. I think that's just someone put together by the Academy. Barry Pepper. I'm pretty sure I had that dish at a Checkers once. Ben Mendelsohn from a place called Australia. That's a load, I'm telling you. And I mean, come on. And the one woman who won drama actress this year, Tatiana Maslany, I mean, they didn't get her name right when she was nominated. Kiefer Sutherland didn't get her name right when she won. These are forever proofs that the Emmys are set up to perpetually disappoint and rob people like Mr. Donald J. Trump, who are completely due.
Okay.
Surprisingly coming in under time there, Charles. Yeah, we'll go across to the other side for a 1 minute response.
And it's okay. And I understand you're an unfair moderator. You're very biased and you have your opinions about everything. You have it on display in the background, the West Wing there, even though The Sopranos should have won several times by that point. Fourth season.
You've now extended your time. We're going to cross to the other side.
Okay. Charles, you're about to lose your Emmy expert title because clearly what you have forgotten is that the Emmys, up until 2 years ago, were under a tape system where you had to sign an affidavit saying you watched those sample episodes. So
I signed plenty of affidavits.
Okay, so everyone else other than Tatiana Maslany and Ben Mendelsohn won under a taped system where you had to rank each person. And as you know, Hugh Laurie, maybe he never had a really great episode. And plus, look at who he was up against. The same thing with Angela Lansbury. Hers were never emotional. They were about solving crimes. I think what you're forgetting in this whole thing is that they had to submit episodes. The Amazing Race and The Apprentice had to submit episodes. It's the same reason why Jeff Probst has so many, because he was always the hero in his episode. The Amazing Race, compared to an episode of The Apprentice, is always going to seem more exciting because they're solving these mysteries, they're competing these challenges.
Okay, that's your time. Affirmative, negative. You're the negative side of the debate. My apologies. I'm going to bring it back to you, Charles, but I want to give you the words of Donald Trump from an episode of The Apprentice a couple of years ago. Where he said in a boardroom, everyone thought I was going to win it. In fact, when they announced the winner, I stood up before the winner was announced and I started walking for the Emmy. And then they announced the most boring show on television, The Amazing Race, piece of crap. He makes the case there, Donald Trump, that there was this consensus that The Apprentice was definitely going to win that award. And it was just so widely favored that it's a surprise that it won. However, CNN reported in 2004 that The Apprentice was, and I was getting the quote up here, that The Apprentice was in a razor-thin race, I believe, a tight race. So this narrative that The Apprentice was just assumed by everyone to be the winner going into the night seems disproven by the media reports at the time. How do you respond to that?
I thought it was going to win. I seriously thought it was going to win. It was the hottest show on television. Everyone was talking about it. I didn't know anybody that was talking about The Amazing Race. I mean, I, at the time, really just thought that the Emmys were the only thing keeping it alive. Now, as to what Little Miss Smarty Pants said, with the affidavit system, I mean, I've signed plenty of affidavits. I've signed affidavits that, you know, I would wash my hands after using the toilet when I worked at McDonald's. I signed an affidavit that I would put out that fire in the forest in California all those years ago. I think it's still burning, actually. I haven't kept up with it, but, you know, I'm sure it's fine. You know, I'm not sure that really proves anything. I think it was the hottest show on television. It was the show a lot of people that I knew were talking about. And, you know, especially down at the Yacht Club and at the $100 bills at Cigarette Lighters Club. And we really thought it was going to win. And it was weirdly announced too. If you remember that year, they brought in two people that, you know, didn't know they were going to be at the Emmys, and then took blindfolds off them, and then they were supposed to open the envelope. One of them opened the envelope on stage, but that person didn't actually read it out. Gary Shandling butted his head in and said, "The Amazing Race." You know what? I think there's something funny there, which is weird because
time's up, Charles. Your time's up. Your time's up. But crossing over to the other side, and Tony, Charles does make a point there that The Apprentice was the buzz show this season. I believe Ray Richmond for The Hollywood Reporter in 2004 said that Apprentice was the show with buzz behind it going into the race. How do you respond to that claim? So Apprentice was the front runner, and it not winning is the result of a rigged system.
There's a difference between popularity and prestige. Just because something is the hottest show on television doesn't mean that the Emmys are going to go along with that. The hottest show on television right now is The Walking Dead. Everybody is talking about it. It is dominating the media. It's done that repeatedly. Every year, the ratings for The Walking Dead have been through the roof. It's dominated social media. As an example, The Talking Dead post-show, a talk show about a narrative show, got over 7 million viewers and won the demo. So how many Emmys has The Walking Dead won? At least in prestige categories. Has it won drama? Has it even been nominated?
I'm going to give you 30 more seconds, Tony. Couldn't you argue that that's the result of broader rigging that goes beyond the point? Just because another popular buzz show doesn't win, are the Emmys stacked against the will of the people?
I wouldn't necessarily say, because there's a companion show called Game of Thrones that is similarly special effects, makeup, but because it takes place in a fantasy world, it's also on an equally prestigious network like HBO. AMC has certainly won its share of Emmys, so I wouldn't say that AMC is not a prestige channel. So it's just a question of, maybe there's not room enough for two quote-unquote sci-fi shows.
Oh, can I just add one thing?
Yeah. I'll give you a few seconds, Amanda, but then we're going to go over the other side.
This is not the People's Choice Awards. This is the Emmys. These are not the People's Choice Awards. And just to give you a little background, it was nominated in 2005 for Favorite Reality Competition Show, and it did not win. So, and that is not a plurality. That is a plurality vote as far as I'm concerned. I'm just trying to find it real quick. But yeah, favorite reality show. It's, sorry, okay, I can't find who won, but
Forever Proof.
Well, we might have time for that in a minute. Let's go back to you, Charles, and you got a minute. You got a minute now.
I don't think they proved anything with their points. I mean, look at we say it on this site ourselves. The Emmys are full of snobbish, drunk, probably, high, probably, potato eating. Well, no, they don't like carbs. So they're just full of people that have their head up their own ass. And I mean, look at Frasier 5 years in a row, Modern Family 5 years in a row, West Wing 5 years in a row, The Daily Show with Jon Stewart 10 years in a row. My God, they don't care about integrity. It is all about a political viewpoint, not necessarily political in terms of government, but it's their own personal politics that prevents them. That is in itself a form of rigging, because they refuse to acknowledge what should be the guidelines for casting their votes.
Yep. We go on to Amanda. Do you want to come back at that?
Here's a good point. I just found it. People's Choice Awards that year, same nominees as the Emmys: American Idol, Amazing Race, The Apprentice, Last Comic Standing, Survivor. American Idol was named Best Reality Show Competition, not The Apprentice. So,
and how many Emmys has American Idol won?
That's another good point. But we're talking about
thank you. That's it. Yeah,
I get that, but we're talking about a group of people working within the industry who are voting on awards. There's never going to be a perfect system, nor should this be open for everyone to just vote on.
I don't think they really work in the industry. I think they're exaggerating their credentials. I mean, writers, come on.
But this is what people like Charles will do. They will, if they don't like the results, they will produce these ad hominem attacks where they attack the voters, calling them, wine drinking, drunks and stoned and tweeting about which Emmy voter has a sex tape at 3:00 in the morning. So
and we all know it was Doris Roberts.
Well,
rest in peace.
and I think that poses a fair question, Charles, to you. Does this kind of discourse help the Emmys move forward? Does this help preserve the integrity of the Emmys? If you were going to use this kind of discourse to talk about them, does it limit debate and discussion?
Well, first of all, I am still shocked and appalled by the nasty tone of that horrible broad, Tony. All I know is that the discourse is sometimes what gets them to make the right choices. If we had been banging on the drum for Bob Newhart, he would still be Emmy-less. If we were not banging on the drum for John Hamm, there's a very good chance he could still be Emmy-less. It's very likely they've overlooked things before. They just, sometimes it's just an acquiescence of what should have happened years ago. This is systematic of an organization that does not care about actually awarding the truly great work. And The Apprentice is among that. And another thing that I've always noticed, Bruce Rosenblumenstein, the president of the TV Academy, has that wonderful lapel pin of the Emmy statue. Why isn't that on sale anywhere else? What, he thinks he's above everyone? I want one of those lapel pins. But just because I'm a mere commoner, I'm not allowed to have one? That's elitism and just just snobbery at its most pure form.
Amanda and Tony, do you believe that the Emmy lapel issue is fair game in this discussion?
I just hope that whomever is watching who works for the Academy of Television just sends Charles his pen. We'll all take one too if you're just passing them out, but I don't think it's an issue.
Okay, we're gonna go to final thoughts now, and I guess would you guys like to? I'll start with Amanda and Tony. You guys can give your last sort of summary. You've got 1 minute to wrap up your arguments, and I'd like you to think in this last answer. Could you say something nice about The Apprentice in your final answer? Because I think there's been just a lot of negativity and unhelpful discourse, and I think the Emmy watchers at home are to a degree fed up with it.
I'd be happy to say something nice about The Apprentice. I think The Apprentice did something very good for pop culture. It fed our quota of Gary Busey clips for a number of weeks. And for that, we thank you.
A public service.
Any last thoughts, guys, on your arguments as to why the Emmys are not rigged?
Yeah, there's never going to be a perfect award system, regardless of what you're giving out. And again, if we could go back to 2004, knowing what would happen now, and give Donald Trump an Emmy and see if that would have prevented all of this from happening, I'm all for it. But unfortunately, there's never going to be a perfect system when it comes to handing out awards.
Okay,
I think the Chicago Film Critics Society would beg to differ on that, Miss Spears. Anyhow,
okay, Charles, your last 1 minute, and I'd like to ask you, maybe if you could include that minute, something nice about the Emmys in your app, because I think people, as I said to the other two, are tired of people watching home of the negative discourse reigning over this debate.
Well, okay, I will say something nice about the Emmys. It's a beautiful trophy. I mean, she's standing on her tippy toes, and she stands up there for a long time, and you just want to grab that thing. Just grab it right by any.
Yeah, okay. Let's move on to something else.
It's a beautiful trophy, and and also those wingtips, they stay sharp. Sharp women. I love sharp women. Nobody loves sharp women more than me. Anyhow, the other thing about the Emmys is that they don't award You know, diversity. Now, sure, they'll nominate it and say, oh, look, we're better than the Oscars. But where's Empire, one of the biggest shows on television? Nowhere. Jane the Virgin, fantastic show with the Latinos. Nowhere. It's just it's not anywhere. This diversity that they're supposed to celebrate is nowhere. It is just complete elitism. And at its
I'm going to have to cut you off there. That is your time, Charles, and we've got to be fair to all the participants of the debate. We will be putting on the Gold Derby Twitter feed a poll up to see who won the debate, and we'll see if you think the Emmys are rigged or not rigged to continue all discussions award from Emmys to Oscars to Golden Globe Screen Actors Guild. Go to goldderby.com, join the forums, read the posts, watch the videos. Thank you for tuning in, America, and feel free to weigh in moving forward.